trauma can be passed on up to 7 generations. Every 4th woman experiences a traumatic birth. Today, I'm here to not go on with statistics, but today I want to tell you 2 stories of 2 women. One who has worked on her past and even epigenetics, and one woman who went into pregnancy and birth without knowing her history. One woman is me, and the other woman is one of my clients. I want to talk to you about my story so that you can understand how different the start of my children would have been if I would have worked on my past. It all started with me knowing that I was a difficult birth. I knew that I was a blue baby, and my parents have been telling me that every year at my birthday. But I didn't really know everything about the whole pregnancy and about birth, actually, how I was born. The only thing I knew was whenever, as a teenager, it came up to having children, I knew, yes, I wanted children. But I said sometimes, I'm just gonna beam out the baby afterwards. Or I said, well, I will get pregnant, but my sister will be pregnant for me and will give birth to my baby. And everybody was just laughing about that and not really knowing why I said that. And I also didn't know why I said that. Well, time passed on and I became pregnant with my daughter, and I was really connected to my daughter. Everything was fine. I did have a little problems with my cervix, but I was so in peace and I was so connected to her that I just knew everything would be fine. And I gave birth to her vaginal, and the bonding was just beautiful. And we had, together with my husband, an hour together before it became hectic after birth. Well, time passed on and I became pregnant again. And I became pregnant with twins. And already the beginning of the pregnancy was very difficult. I had become pregnant, but the doctor told me that we don't know if it's gonna be okay and we'll meet next week and whatever. And then I started bleeding, and for me it was clear that I have lost the baby. For 5 days I was believing that until I had my doctor's appointment again. And when I came to the doctor, I found out that I was actually pregnant with twins. And this was very shocking for me because this didn't fit to my feelings I had inside. For me, the pregnancy was over. I had lost a baby. But now there are 2 babies inside of me. How is that working? But everything, I had a 2-year-old daughter and work and everything. I just pushed these thoughts away. And the problem was that because I was so convinced that I had lost a baby, I didn't really make any connection to my twins. I was talking to other people, yes, I'm having twins, but it was like I would be talking about her, not about me. I had no feelings. I was not afraid, but I was also not convinced that actually one of the 2 would make it. And the time passed, and one of my twins decided that he would come already in the 34th week. And we went to the hospital, and I had the first one vaginal, but the second one, in this turbulence of the first one being out, changed in breech. But then the doctor said it doesn't matter, we'll try it anyways. But things went different, and they said no, his heart rate is dropping and we'll have to make an emergency C-section if you think so. And I was, of course, for me it was most important. I didn't want to have my baby have some kind of problems after that. So I said, okay, just cut me open. I had no connection actually to my body and everything. And I sent out my husband with the first twin, and I was induced, with very heavy medication. I was just sleeping, I was not there. And when I woke up, there was only one baby here. And he was sent away with a doctor, and we didn't really know what was going on. And later on we found out that he had trouble breathing and everything like that. And it was very difficult for me. Well, we came home after 2 weeks, and I had a midwife, and she said, well, because he was an emergency C-section, it would be good for him to experience like the natural birth. And we had this baby tub, and we put water in, and we played birth for him, and then he would be able to bond with me. But nobody was really thinking about me, how it was for me. And after I was, I knew that my kids are fine and we are home, a very strong feeling came up in me towards my daughter, a negative one. I was very jealous of how her start was, so much different than my twin start. But what I really didn't realize was that the birth, especially of my second twin, ripped open my birth trauma. And I had very difficulties, to be a loving mom to my daughter, actually, for a phase. I was like, oh my God, I felt so sorry also for my twins, that I robbed them, or that somebody robbed them from such a beautiful start like my daughter had, and I also didn't have. Well, times passed on, and one of my twins became an excessive crying baby, and that's when I started looking into prenatal and birth psychology. And I started working on my past, and I realized that how much different it could have been if I would have worked on my trauma before I would become pregnant and give birth to my children. And the second story I want to tell you is about my client. She came to me, she was pregnant and everything was fine, but just before giving birth, about 34th week, she came to me and she said, I'm on the one hand, I'm so afraid. On the other hand, I just so badly want to give birth to my child vaginal, but I don't think it's gonna happen because the hospital I've signed up to, they're having a C-section with babies who are in breech, and my baby's in breech, and I don't think, I've tried so many things already, and I don't think it's gonna happen. And I'm already so sad that my dream of having this natural birth is not gonna happen. So we've been working together, and we looked into her history, and she was breech when she was born. And we went back and we found out her sister, her mother, her aunt, and even her grandmother they were all breech when they were born. And we were working on that, first of all, like just a realization that this is like the natural way how babies in her family were born, was already something that made it easy for her to accept. But then we were working together and something amazing happened. When she resolved her history, her baby actually changed position. And she had the birth she wanted to. And to be honest, it was not the birth she actually wanted for her child. It was also some kind of healing for herself. And we know from statistics and everything and working with adults that it does make a difference how you are born and how, it is not only in your body, but in your soul and your being. It does make a difference if you're born without interventions. And this is the story and the message I want to spread out, that everybody knows, at least the women who want to become pregnant and want to give birth, how important it is to work on the prenatal and birth history of her before to starting her own family. And another woman who actually did prenatal bonding with her daughter and hasn't done with her son said it's such a big difference. She has the feeling that her daughter was born without this backpack of previous generations. And her daughter is so much more present already in the first hours of life. And yes, my name, I haven't said yet, is Magdalena, and I'm working with pregnant women on exactly that. Not only bonding with your child, but working on your past so that your child can have a free or a clean slate when starting the life here. Thank you for watching.